The first sign? His valet eyes wouldn't meet Glenda's. The second was how his hand hovered over the keyboard at the Ocean View Resort desk, frozen mid-keystroke like he was watching a car crash in slow motion. Behind him, Miami's neon skyline bled pink and orange through floor-to-ceiling windows, beautiful and indifferent. "I'm here to surprise my husband," Glenda said again, steadying her voice. "Donald Juan, room 847. The kid, maybe 22, with a name tag that read Marcus, swallowed hard. His Adam's apple bobbed. "Ma'am, there's another guest listed on that booking." Her heart stopped. "Another guest?" "Ms. Dana Price." The name punched through Glenda's chest like a freight train. Dana, his boss. The woman Donald mentioned maybe twice a year in passing, always with professional distance. "She's brilliant but intense. Married. 2 kids. Total workaholic." The roses in her hand, 12 red beauties from Publix, wrapped in cellophane that crinkled too loud in the sudden silence, suddenly weighed 1,000 pounds. "I see," she whispered. But she didn't see. Not yet. Not fully. Marcus looked like he wanted to sink through the marble floor. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have—" "Which parking section?" "Ma'am." "His car. Where would it be parked?" "Level 2. West Wing." She was moving before he finished the sentence. But let's rewind. Let's see how a 34-year-old English teacher from Atlanta, surviving on $55,000 a year and expired yogurt cups eaten at her desk between 4th and 5th period, ended up stalking through a Miami hotel parking garage with her entire world crumbling like chalk dust. 6 years earlier, she was Glenda Cartwright, single, burnt out from grading essays about To Kill a Mockingbird that somehow always spelled Atticus with 1 T. Her apartment in East Atlanta smelled like lavender candles and resignation. Then Donald walked into the Whole Foods on Ponce de Leon, literally walked into her. His shopping cart clipped hers in the organic produce section, apples everywhere. He laughed, this easy, warm sound that felt like summer, and helped her gather them, and 20 minutes later they were still talking by the kombucha display. He sold pharmaceuticals, made good money, had kind eyes and a smile that crinkled at the corners. "You're a teacher?" he'd said, impressed. "That's incredible. I just push pills. You shape minds." That sealed it. A man who respected teachers, who didn't immediately check his phone or scan for prettier options. In Atlanta's brutal dating scene, Donald Juan was a unicorn. They married 14 months later in a backyard ceremony in Decatur. His salary, $110,000 plus commissions that sometimes doubled it, felt like winning the lottery compared to her paycheck that barely covered rent, student loans, and the occasional Target splurge. He paid for the honeymoon to Savannah, paid for the kitchen renovation with those gleaming Home Depot countertops she'd drooled over on Pinterest, paid off her Honda Civic when the transmission died. She loved him for it. But more than that, she loved how he'd kiss her forehead when she'd stay up until midnight grading papers, how he'd listen to her rants about standardized testing over reheated Chick-fil-A, how he'd call from networking events just to say goodnight. "Miss you, babe," he'd say, his voice warm through the speaker. "These pharma conferences are so boring without you." She believed him. God help her, she believed every word. The inheritance came in April like a bolt from the blue. Her Aunt Darlene, a wonderfully eccentric woman who'd collected porcelain frogs and voted libertarian, passed away in Valdosta, left Glenda $7,000. Not life-changing money, but enough to feel like possibility. Donald and Glenda were eating takeout pad thai on their worn IKEA couch when she got the Venmo notification. "Holy shit," she breathed, staring at her phone. "What?" "Aunt Darlene, she left me $7,000. Donald's eyes widened. "Babe, that's amazing." They talked in circles that night. Pay down credit cards, Start the baby fund? Finally replace the water heater that groaned like a dying animal every morning? But then Glenda had the idea, the romantic, possibly stupid, definitely impulsive idea. "What if," she said slowly, "I surprise you in Miami? At your next conference?" Donald had a pharma summit scheduled for early May, Meridian Pharmaceuticals' annual sales push. He'd mentioned it casually 3 weeks prior, just another business trip in a career full of them. His face did something complicated. Surprise, maybe? Or something else? "You'd do that?" "We haven't had a real vacation in 2 years, Don. I could use my Delta miles. Book a dinner at Joe's Stone Crab. I've always wanted to go there. Walk on the beach, be together without my grating and your emails." He kissed her then. Long and sweet. "You're incredible. You know that?" She felt incredible. She felt like a wife reclaiming romance from the jaws of adulthood's tedious machinery. She bought the ticket that night, didn't tell him, wanted it to be perfect. Before we continue with what happened in that parking garage, and trust me, you need to hear this next part, hit that subscribe button below. This story gets wild, and you won't want to miss what happens when Glenda finally confronts the truth. Drop your city in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Atlanta, Miami, somewhere else entirely? All right, back to the story. Level 2 of the Ocean View Resort parking garage smelled like gasoline and sea salt. Her sandals, cute strappy ones she'd bought specifically for this trip, thinking Donald would love them, slapped against concrete as she weaved between rows of gleaming vehicles. Teslas, BMWs, rental chargers with Enterprise stickers. Her phone buzzed, a text from Donald. "Conference ran late, grabbing dinner with some reps. Don't wait up. Love you." Love you, she wanted to vomit. Then she saw it, his rental, a black Dodge Charger, license plate BCX4471, parked in a shadowy corner beneath a flickering fluorescent light. And leaning against the driver's side door, locked in an embrace that made her vision tunnel, were 2 figures. Donald, and a woman in a sharp charcoal suit, her blonde hair catching the harsh light. Dana Price. His hand was on her waist. Her hand was in his hair. And as Glenda watched, frozen behind a silver Tesla, roses trembling in her grip, he leaned down and kissed her. Not a friendly peck. Not a professional mistake. A kiss that spoke of history, of heat, of a secret language she thought belonged to them. Then his hand moved. Lower. He spanked her. Actually spanked her, playful and possessive, and she threw her head back and laughed. "Oh, yes, Dana," the woman purred. That voice, low and sultry and devastatingly familiar, because it was the same tone Glenda used in their bedroom, the same cadence, the same breathless anticipation. He copied her, or maybe she was copying Dana all along. The roses slipped from her fingers, hit the concrete with a soft, final thud. They didn't notice. 2 wrapped up in each other. Dana slid into the passenger seat. Donald jogged around to the driver's side, his face lit with an expression Glenda hadn't seen in months, maybe years. Joy. Pure, uncomplicated joy. The Charger's engine roared to life. Tail lights flared red. Exhaust fumes curled through the humid air like accusations. And Glenda stood there, in Miami, 3 hours and 42 minutes from home, watching her marriage drive away. The flight back to Atlanta was a blur. She sat in 14B, middle seat, wedged between a businessman who snored and a college kid watching TikToks without headphones. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She'd pulled up the photos on her iPhone maybe 40 times already, checking, rechecking, making sure they were real. They were real. Timestamp, May 7th, 9:47 p.m. Location data, Miami, Florida, Ocean View Resort. Crystal clear images of Donald and Dana, his hand on her body, her mouth on his neck. The Charger's license plate visible in the frame because Glenda was a teacher and she knew how to document evidence. She didn't cry. Couldn't cry. It was like her tear ducts had gone on strike. leaving only this hollow, ringing fury. When she landed at Hartsfield-Jackson, Donald had already texted. "Morning, babe. The conference was intense but good. Miss your face. How was your weekend?" Her weekend. He thought she was home, though she spent Saturday grading papers and Sunday meal prepping while he was in Miami, playing house with his boss. She typed back, "Quiet. Miss you too." The lie tasted like copper. Monday morning, she was back in room 203 at Douglas High School, teaching The Great Gatsby to 32 juniors who'd rather be anywhere else. Her voice sounded normal, steady. She gestured at the smartboard, talking about green lights and impossible dreams. And inside, she was screaming. During lunch, she sat in her car in the faculty lot and hired a private investigator. His name was Marcus Chen. Found him on Upwork. 5-star reviews, specialized in infidelity cases based in Atlanta. His profile picture showed a middle-aged Asian man with kind eyes and a no-nonsense expression. She sent him everything: the photos, Donald's travel schedule, Dana's LinkedIn profile, Meridian Pharmaceuticals' corporate address in Buckhead. His response came in 20 minutes. "Ms. Wan, I'm sorry you're going through this. I can start surveillance immediately. My rate is $75 per hour plus expenses. Based on what you've shown me, this won't take long to document." She authorized the payment. $2,000 retainer from Aunt Darlene's money. The irony wasn't lost on her. Using inheritance meant for romance to fund the destruction of her marriage. Marcus worked fast. By Wednesday, he'd sent a preliminary report. Dana Price wasn't just Donald's boss. She was a predator. A serial climber who'd left a trail of violated subordinates across 3 states in 7 years. Marcus uncovered 2 former Meridian employees, both men, who'd signed NDAs and accepted relocation packages after reporting her for sexual harassment. Meridian's legal department had buried it, paid them off, kept Dana's golden sales record spotless because she made them too much money to fire. "This woman is protected," Marcus wrote. But patterns like this always crack eventually. The question is whether you want to be the one who cracks it. Oh, she wanted to be the one. That night, Donald came home with Thai takeout and a bouquet of grocery store tulips. "Thought you could use some cheering up," he said, kissing her cheek. "You seem stressed." She smiled, accepted the flowers, let him believe everything was fine. They ate on the couch. He told her about the Miami conference, fabricated details about breakout sessions and networking mixers that never happened. She nodded, asked questions, played the supportive wife. "How's Dana?" she asked casually, twirling pad thai around her fork. He didn't flinch. "Good. Intense as always. She's pushing us hard on the new diabetes med launch." "She sounds demanding." "She is. But she gets results." Glenda bet she did. Over the next 3 weeks, Glenda became someone she didn't recognize. She tracked Donald's location through Find My iPhone, which he'd forgotten they'd set up years ago for safety. She screenshotted his credit card statements, dinners at Ruth's Chris on nights he claimed he was working late, hotel charges in cities he never mentioned. She archived every text, every email, every little lie. Marcus's reports piled up. Photos of Donald and Dana at a Buckhead rooftop bar, her hand on his thigh. Video footage of them entering a Marriott in Midtown, not emerging for 3 hours. Phone records showing hundreds of calls between them, often late at night when Donald was supposedly checking inventory reports in his home office. She played the perfect wife, cuddled on the couch, laughed at his jokes, sent him flirty texts during his business trips. And all the while, she was building a case like she'd build a lesson plan, methodical, thorough, devastating. But she needed more. She needed leverage. Because this wasn't just about Donald anymore. It was about Dana. It was about Meridian. It was about every man who'd been silenced and every company that chose profit over justice. So she got creative. She created a fake Slack account, a burner persona named Ashley Hendricks, supposedly a new Meridian marketing coordinator. She joined the company's public channels, started conversations, dropped hints in DMs to former employees, asking about inappropriate workplace behavior for a confidential HR audit. 3 people responded. One man in particular, Jake Sutherland, relocated to Phoenix after Dana cornered him in a supply closet during a 2019 sales retreat, was ready to talk. "She ruined my career," he wrote. "Meridian paid me $80,000 to disappear. I signed the NDA, moved my family, started over, but if someone's finally holding her accountable, I'll risk it." She now had 4 victims, 4 stories, 4 reasons to burn it all down. The final piece fell into place on a Tuesday in early June. Donald was in the home office on a Zoom call with his sales team. Glenda was in the kitchen, ostensibly making dinner, but really planting evidence. A post-it note, carefully crafted in feminine handwriting. "Last night was incredible. Can't wait for Chicago. D." She slipped it into his gym bag. He'd find it tomorrow morning. Wouldn't know what it meant. But she did. It was a breadcrumb, a distraction, a way to make him paranoid while she executed the real plan. Because tomorrow was D-Day. Tomorrow, Donald had a major presentation at Meridian's Buckhead headquarters. A pitch for Q3 sales strategy in front of Dana, the VP of sales, and 2 board members. High stakes, career-defining, and tomorrow, a process server would walk into that boardroom and hand him divorce papers in front of everyone. Glenda didn't sleep that night. At 2 a.m., she was staring at the ceiling, listening to Donald's soft snores beside her. This man she loved, this man she built a life with, this man who looked her in the eye and lied for months. Her phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. "Everything's set. Server arrives at 10:15 a.m. I'll be outside filming the exit for documentation. You sure about this timing?" She typed back, "Positive." Then she sent 3 more messages. One to Dana's wife, a corporate lawyer named Bethany Price, who she found through LinkedIn. The message contained an encrypted Dropbox link to every photo, every hotel receipt, every piece of evidence Marcus collected. Subject line, "Your wife and my husband." One to Jake Sutherland and the other 2 victims, with instructions to file EEOC complaints simultaneously at 10 a.m., and one to a reporter at the Wall Street Journal who'd written about pharmaceutical industry misconduct. Subject line, "Meridian Pharmaceuticals Sexual Harassment Cover-Up. Former employees ready to talk." She hit send on all 3, then she closed her eyes and waited for dawn. She was at school when it happened, 4th period. She was teaching irony in Oedipus Rex, how the king's quest for truth destroys him, when her phone exploded with notifications, texts, emails, voicemails. She stepped into the hallway, hands trembling. The first message was from Marcus. He lost it, screaming in the parking lot. Dana's wife showed up. Cameras everywhere. Meridian's PR team is scrambling. You did it. The second was from Jake. EEOC confirmed receipt. 2 more guys came forward this morning. This is really happening. The third was a news alert. Meridian Pharmaceuticals under investigation for sexual harassment cover-up. She leaned against the cinderblock wall, legs shaking, and finally let herself feel it. Not sadness, no regret, relief. The fallout was biblical. Donald's promotion? Yanked. He was demoted to cold calling, a humiliating demotion that had him working from a cubicle instead of his corner office. His reputation in Atlanta's pharma scene, once golden, turned radioactive. Friends stopped returning calls. The Buckhead networking crowd ghosted him. Dana? Fired within 72 hours. Meridian's board, facing a PR nightmare and plummeting stock prices, cut her loose with no severance. Her marriage imploded. Bethany filed for divorce, taking the Buckhead McMansion, the kids, everything. Dana ended up in a Decatur walk-up, scraping by with DoorDash consulting gigs. The story went viral. Our pharma predator trended on Twitter for 3 days straight, racking up 5 million views. Elon Musk, bafflingly, retweeted a thread about it with the caption, "Accountability, Ambition." Meridian settled the class action lawsuit for $5.2 million. Installed a female CEO. Implemented mandatory harassment training. The Wall Street Journal ran a 3-part series that sparked congressional hearings on corporate NDA abuse. And Glenda? She was drowning in messages. Former Meridian employees thanking her for giving them courage. Strangers offering to buy her drinks in cities she'd never visited. Her students, who somehow found out, creating posters that read, "Slay Queen Glenda." Someone started a GoFundMe. For every underpaid teacher fighting back. It hit $100,000 in 6 days. Donors from New York tech bros to Texas housewives all leaving comments like, "You're a hero," and "This is what justice looks like." Even Donald's family reached out. His mother, mortified, invited her to brunch and slipped her an envelope with $5,000 and a handwritten apology. 6 months later, Glenda was sitting in her newly renovated apartment in Virginia Highland. The GoFundMe money paid off her student loans and funded a side hustle, custom literary prints sold on Etsy that earned $2,000 a month. She bought a Peloton, started therapy, swiped right on a Hinge match last week who taught history at Emory and thought teacher salaries were criminally low. She forgave Donald. Not for him, for her. Forgiveness didn't mean reconciliation. It meant releasing the weight. But she didn't forget. Because here's what she learned in that Miami parking garage, in Marcus Chen's surveillance reports, in the cold machinery of legal warfare. Some betrayals are loud. Taillights in exhaust fumes, moans in parking garages, lies in Thai takeout conversations. And some justice is louder. Boardroom gasps, viral hashtags, congressional hearings. Donald and Dana spanked the wrong marriage. Now the world was clapping for her. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe and check out our other tales of justice, betrayal, and redemption. Drop a comment. Have you ever had to fight back against someone who underestimated you? We read every single one. Remember, the truth always comes out. Sometimes it just needs a good teacher to grade the evidence.